They said the house on Willow Creek was abandoned, just an old relic left to rot in a forgotten town, but they were wrong. Someone or something was always home, because the lights never went out. This is the story of Ethan Gray, a paranormal investigator who drove into that town, drawn by the whispers of a haunted mansion. As he pulled up, he saw it for himself, a single, dim light flickering in an upstairs window like a lonely eye watching him from the darkness. He grabbed his gear, determined to be the one to finally capture proof of what lurked inside. Once through the front door, the air itself felt charged, heavy and alive. The first thing he noticed was the sound, ticking, dozens of clocks all echoing through the cavernous space, yet not a single one showed the same time. It was a symphony of chaos. He spoke into his camera, his voice a low murmur. Weird. Someone must have been here recently. He wasn't wrong. He set up his equipment, positioning cameras to cover the main hall and the eerie, winding staircase. His goal was simple: document everything, debunk what he could, and capture the rest. Little did he know, the house had its own plans for him. The night deepened. At precisely 2:47 a.m., a sound pulled him from a light doze. It wasn't a creak or a bang, but a whisper, soft and trembling, seemingly coming from the very walls around him. It said, "Don't look at the walls." His eyes darted to the faded, peeling wallpaper. He held his breath. It was moving, a faint, rhythmic ripple, like the slow, steady breathing of something massive trapped just beneath the surface. He felt a cold dread creep up his spine. The house wasn't just haunted, it was alive. He grabbed his flashlight, its beam cutting through the oppressive darkness as he swept it across the room. It landed on a tall, cracked mirror leaning against the far wall. What he saw in the reflection made his blood run cold. It wasn't just his own image staring back. He saw himself. Yes, but he was asleep. In a bed. In another room. Panic surged through him. He sprinted down the hall to the master bedroom he'd seen in the mirror. He burst in, but the room was empty. The bed was made. But when he reached out a trembling hand, the sheets were still warm. Drawn by an unseen force, he stumbled upon a room he hadn't noticed before. The door was slightly ajar, and from within came the cacophony of ticking he'd heard earlier, now amplified 100 times over. He pushed the door open to find a room filled with clocks. Hundreds of them, grandfather clocks, cuckoo clocks, mantel clocks, all ticking furiously. The sound grew louder, faster, building to an unbearable crescendo, until, all at once, they stopped. The sudden silence was more terrifying than the noise. And in that silence, a voice echoed through the room, clear as day. "Time doesn't move here, Ethan." He fled the clock room, his heart hammering against his ribs, his camera shaking in his grip. He backed into the hallway, trying to make sense of it all. Then he heard it. Slow, deliberate footsteps from the floor above. He whispered into his camera, his own voice now a part of the house's haunted chorus. "There's someone here with me." The footsteps padded across the ceiling, then stopped directly above his head. A low, groaning creak followed, as if an immense weight was settling on the floorboards, pressing down, down. His search for the source of the sound led him to an old, dusty bookshelf. Something felt off. One of the panels seemed different. He pushed and it gave way, revealing a narrow, hidden door. Scratched crudely into the wood was a chilling warning: "Those who stay awake never leave." Against his better judgment, he pulled the door open. It revealed a stone spiral staircase, descending into absolute pitch-black darkness. He took a deep breath and started his descent. The air grew colder with every step, the only light coming from his camera. The staircase opened into a damp, stone-walled basement. The walls, they were covered in names, dozens of them, gouged into the stone. He scanned them, his light trembling. Then he saw it. A name, freshly carved, the stone dust still settled at its base. Ethan Gray, 2025. His camera suddenly glitched, the screen turning to static before the recording inexplicably restarted, showing the very first clip, his car pulling up to the house. The next morning, a real estate agent unlocked the front door, a cheerful smile on her face as she welcomed a new visitor. "It's a beautiful property," she said. "Funny, a guy named Ethan came to see it just last week." But when the visitor asked for his contact, the agent just shrugged. There was no record of him anywhere. Night falls on Willow Creek again, and in the window of the old mansion, a single light flickers on. Inside, a lone camera sits on the floor, its red light blinking. It's recording on its own, capturing the faint, ghostly whisper of its last owner. "If you're watching this, don't come here."